All right, I think we should get started. Hi, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us for the new edition of the Farmer Office Hours. Farmer Office Hours is the best place to listen to all the farming related updates and network news. We haven't had Farmers Office Hours in quite a while, so you are probably starting for the news, and we're gonna deliver today. We have some exciting agenda, and today with me on stage I have Jim, head of ecosystem. Hey Jim, how's it going?
I'm very well, thanks, Emil. Always fired up and ready, excited for a farmer office hours, of course. Thanks for
Oh
having
yeah,
me
for
along.
sure. For sure. And we also have Nazar, our co-founder, and Daria, our researcher. Hey guys, how are you doing?
Hey,
Yeah, always exciting to have you, and thank you for joining us. All right, as for the agenda, today we're covering the status of Gemini 3H. Then we're going to discuss some hot topics. Then we'll hand the mic over to Daria and Nazar. We're going to talk more about dynamic reward issuance and do a network update live. Then we're going to share some news about our participation on the ETH Denver event. And as usual, at the end of the call, we're going to have an open Q&A. So feel free to ask any questions in the chat or raise your hand, and we're going to invite you on the stage. So as for the status of Gemini 3H, we currently have 8,972 nodes, and the total space pledged is more than 50 petabytes, and it's now at 52.14 petabytes, which is super exciting, of course. The latest versions for the advanced CLI, it's the March 18th version, and the latest release for Space Acres is 0.1.10. There's been a ton of great updates, especially for those who are on Windows in the latest releases. But Jim is going to talk about it in a second. And as for the whales, we usually cover the whale watch. And at the moment, it seems like the top farmers have surpassed the 10,000 TSSC mark. So yeah, we have quite a few whales. So if you're interested, it's always possible to check the list of the rewards on the SAPscan, and we're gonna drop the link to it in the chat as well. All right, and now it's over to you, Jim, for the hot topics.
Thanks, Emil. Yeah, so impressive. We have someone who's actually broken 20,000 TSSC. So our top whale has 22,784 TSSC. That's frankly astounding numbers. I don't know if we've got anyone in the crowd who wants to claim anything on the first page. It'd be lovely to see, to identify yourselves. But yeah, very impressive numbers there. Some people probably got rigs to even compete against our very own Weasel, of course. Okay, hot topics. Okay, as I say, bullet point 1 there in the list. Of course, there aren't any really kind of hot topics that are preventing farming. So everyone's able to farm, which of course is a great place to be. But generally, when we talk about a hot topic, it will be about people who are struggling to participate in incentivized testnet, of course. However, it has been a while since we've had a farmer office hours, because we've been doing our our Hacker Month developer office hours workshops. So I wanted to just kind of bring everyone bang up to date. But because there's nothing stopping farming in general, it has afforded Nazar the time to look at and work on UX improvements, which everyone is reaping the benefits of. And I want to point out that, you know, we wouldn't be where we are today without you guys. The community feedback loop we've got in place is absolutely essential to our success. I know that there are many in the crowd who are an integral part of that feedback loop. And we're very grateful for your participation, the time you take to help us home in on items. I see Punky's in the chat. Dragon P is always there helping us out. I apologise because I'm not going to get around to everyone who deserves a shout out in this impromptu thank you, but we are very grateful to all of you. Thanks very much. Okay, so since last Farmer Office Hours, a couple of things that I did want to pull out is PR 2565. Which was optimized farmer peace getter. So I don't think we've covered this formally on a call before, but this is actually pretty exciting. What it means is that Nazar's been able to make it possible to sync the node, sync the piece cache, and plot all at the same time. So before you wouldn't be able to do that. So I first noticed this with Space Acres. All of a sudden, while I was syncing, I was all of a sudden plotting as well, which was wonderful to see. But it really does represent a leap forward in what we're able to achieve as farmers. The second item there is supporting legacy CPUs. I've copied that from the pull request, so it's a much lower number because that's Space Acres repository. So it is legacy CPU support for Space Acres specifically. So now when Space Acres starts up, it does a check for the instruction set that's available and supported. And if your CPU supports post Skylake instructions, so it's a newer processor. A general rule of thumb is if your processor is older than 2015, it will use the current version. Otherwise, it will fall back to the legacy build. We did find that there was an issue with building that. It was just a CI problem at the weekend, but Nazar jumped on that. So I've tested that personally, and I know that works. So yeah, just we're trying to make sure that we're capturing all of our farmers. Everyone who wants to farm is able to farm, and there's an ongoing process to achieve that. Can I have the next slide, please, Emil? Okay, so other important things that have been going on. So if you're like me and you run on Windows, you've probably seen that essentially the Space Acres and the Farmer will eventually grab all of your memory. It wasn't particularly it didn't stop you running apps. The memory was actually available to run other applications, but Task Manager would report very high memory usage, basically would eat all of your RAM. Something that we've been looking at for a while. Nazar has managed to make real big progress on that, and in fact has fixed it now. Those who've been following along in the chat, we had to go through a few builds. And again, thank you to those who jumped on test builds and helped us really home in. We did have a couple of issues. There was an official a release build introduced a problem with missing rewards, which was a side effect. And basically, it all comes down to the way that Windows works. And with that in mind, sorry, and also, of course, we had the high diff issue, which was interesting. I saw that as well myself. But what we found was that Nazar kind of homed in on exactly what the problem was, and has isolated it. We found that there are some workarounds required to kind of circumvent issues with Windows and the way that it works. Now, we do have we've got 3 issues that we have open with Microsoft at the moment, and the way to try and ask Microsoft to fix these issues is if you're on Windows and you click on the links in that forum post, there's like an inbuilt feedback app that pops up in Windows, and all you have to do is add your upvote. It helps us, it helps you. Let's try and get some more clicks. Let's try and get some more upvotes on that item and try and get it across the right person's desk at Microsoft. You'll be helping every Windows Windows user, of course. Okay, and outside of that, we've got several conversations ongoing. So there's a conversation in the ambassador chat, but there's also conversations on both the forum and in our farmer and general chats around farming behind the Chinese firewall. So again, as you know, we're kind of approaching feature complete for the protocol. And we are looking at kind of the not necessarily the outliers, but more sort of the edge cases of people who are struggling. Um, we do appreciate that, you know, there is an issue there, but we don't really have a great handle on exactly what the cause is, and what the best way forward is. We've got some ambassadors who are kind of ideating on a path forward for that. But we are interested in hearing about your experiences. If you have any insights to add, please do find the forum post. If you search for China and Chinese on the forum, you'll find the post. I should have the link ready, really. But yeah, anything that you think will help progress the conversation and help us target or isolate the problem and work out what the best solution is would be greatly appreciated. And then finally, yeah, lots of discussion. I'm struggling to keep up at the moment. We're kind of heads down at the moment in ecosystem. But yeah, lots of discussion in the farmer and hardware channels, the usual suspects, of course, about how to squeeze the maximum storage onto their motherboards. And testament to that fact is, of course, we've hit 50 pebibytes now. We're at 52, so we hit 50 at the weekend. We see this regular drop off at the weekend, but now we're back up to over 52, as Emil said. So just wonderful achievement. Yeah, and I see that the conversation is steering towards, well, let's start getting larger drives. We're going to need a bigger boat. It's going to, the conversation's shifting over to density, rather than how many cables and open air systems will my spouse put up with. So yeah, it's great to see. Anyway, guys, I am following along. I haven't been as active as I like to be, but I do read everything. You know, it's great to see. Yeah, and you know, that is the hot topics from my perspective. But if you have a hot topic you want to bring to our attention, please do pop it in the chat, or you know, come up to speak in the Q&A and let us know what's going on. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Daria. We're going to hand over to Daria.
I think we just lost Daria. Maybe the internet connection went down. Let's give her a minute to join back. All right, now she's back.
Hey, Daria.
Hi, Daria. Yeah, I thought that maybe the problem was on my end, but I don't think we can hear you. We see that you are unmuted, but I don't think there is any audio coming.
Audio is actually coming, but it's like completely broken on my end.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I don't hear anything at all.
Yeah, sorry about that. Let's give Daria a minute and a chance to maybe try rejoining and fixing your mic problems.
I think I can jump in so we don't wait for too long without audio. So basically, we will do a runtime upgrade today that will introduce something called dynamic issuance of rewards. And that is a chart of what it looks like. And note that the blocks horizontal axis is actually kind of exponential. So it's not quite a straight line. And basically, the idea is that we were working with block science, and it was a big cross-functional effort between research and finance and engineering to figure out a reward distribution mechanism which is better tailored to our network and our consensus. The idea is to basically decrease block rewards over time, just like on Bitcoin, but with a twist. So in Bitcoin, if you remember, there is a notion of halving. One is coming up very soon and results in some interesting things on the market. Basically, they every 4 years the reward is cut in half. So you have fixed issuance for the 4 year period, and then it cuts in half, and then it's stable again, and it cuts in half. What we will have in Subspace is something that is smooth. So it goes down, but it's not like abruptly. It slowly goes down according to a decay function, and that is the thing you can see on the screen. In implementation, it's kind of a series of straight lines, but it approximates a curve. And again, reminder, the curve there is exponential, so it's not like a straight line. It's actually like going smoothly down and then a little bit slower. And that is something that you will see in your rewards very soon. The other change of this dynamic reward issuance is that the reward itself is not actually tied to that curve if we are talking about the reward itself. So as a block producer on Subspace network, as any other blockchain, basically, you get a block reward, but you also get fees. And in particular, we are interested in storage fees. So the amount of data you put onto the network that you pay in terms of the length of the bytes that you are uploading. So every time the utilization goes up, so like we are uploading more transactions onto the network, the reward for the block production will go down. And the math is designed in such a way that when we decrease the reward, the fees are still higher than the reward decrease. So you will still get more overall, but it allows the protocol to conserve the issuance of those rewards so we can issue them for longer. So like we can issue them for decades going forward. So that is the first twist. The other thing is something you might notice in the Explorer soon as well, is that we have a curve for block proposer and we have a curve for the voters, but voters actually pay a tax in this new design towards block producer, because previously there was actually no protocol level incentive to include those votes. So technically block producers could skip all of the votes, and there will probably be a smaller block so they can propagate it faster and benefit overall. But now the 10% of that reward will actually go towards block producer to incentivize block producer to include as many votes that they can find on the network. So that is the other thing. And we implemented that. We iterated for quite a while. I think you've heard about dynamic issuance for maybe a few months. Now it's ready to test on Gemini 3H, and we will have a live update today. Daria, is your audio fixed now? I see you're unmuted, but I cannot hear you. Yeah, it's only 2024. Audio is not quite figured out. Sorry, guys.
It's Discord. It always seems to be something. So, Daria does have a great kind of introduction here to what's going on, and as Nazar said, we've worked with block science extensively on this this reward decay, and it's kind of it's intrinsic. It's kind of essential. It's a core part of the way that we are building longevity into the economics of the chain. It's the way that we can make sure that early adopters and long-term participants are rewarded and incentivized in the correct way. And also that we've got the chain is able to run for decades, centuries, maybe even. I might be a bit bold saying that, but we'll see. Yeah, so I'm just trying to pick up the the big items from Daria's speech here. So yeah, the interesting thing, of course, is this decay function, which is not stepped like Bitcoin. It's a much more gradual thing than the halvings we see, and we're about to see on Bitcoin. And I'm wary of going too close to the dynamic rewards and the block utilization, because I think everyone on the call but me is probably a better mathematician and understands it better than I do. But we've got we have got something exciting about to happen, of course, which is that Nazar is going to submit the extrinsic to activate dynamic rewards. I guess before we do that, I do want to point out that we have talked about this before. We have produced a forum post here, which gives you a rundown on exactly what we're doing and why. You'll see the same graph that Daria had on the slide earlier. But I want to make it absolutely clear, because I don't want any widespread panic, is that when we activate this, where up until this point you'll have seen 0.1 TSSC accruing, or a value, an amount exactly divisible by 0.1 accruing in your wallets. As the reward decay function is applied, and as the amount per block and vote goes down, you're going to see some different numbers. Okay, this is perfectly expected. That's the whole point of this. So that's the big change that you're going to see. So I just want to make sure that everyone remembers, of course, that the way you are rewarded for the incentivized testnet is not by the amount of rewards in your wallet. Instead, what we are doing is we are counting the block and vote rewards that your wallet is earning. So the amount in your wallet is irrelevant entirely to incentivized testnet rewards. So yeah, I just want to make sure that everyone understands that. There is one last link I wanted to post. It's actually on Daria's behalf here. I see your question, Weasel. Okay, so if you want to get deep into it, the Subnomicon is the best place to read about dynamic issuance, why we need it, how it works. That is definitely the best place to go. So Weasel's asked the question, is the decay rate the same in 3H as it will be in mainnet? I see Nazar's already jumped in with the answer, which is that its mainnet decay function is to be defined. Absolutely. So what we've got in what we're about to deploy on 3H is a contrived example. The idea here, Weasel, is that we are going to set it to values that are observable. So if we set it to something that kind of, it's reducing things by like, 1 10 to the 18th per day or something like that, chances are we're not really going to see that very easily. So the discussion that I had with Daria when I could hear her last, she explained to me that we've set it to something where it's an order of magnitude that we'll be able to see, we'll be able to observe it. in our wallets in the usual places. So that should be on the Explorers, on Polka.js, on Astral. So yeah, great question. Thanks, Weasel. I think I've hit the big items there. Daria, feel free to pop anything in the chat that I've missed that's really important. And I'm not sure. Do you, Nazar? Do you need anything else from us to make the change to 3H?
I get a little bit of courage. It's always stressful to do live upgrades on the network, and sometimes they go right, sometimes they don't. Hopefully this time it's fine. So I'm going ahead and submitting a runtime upgrade with the new logic, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay. And as we collectively hold our breath, yeah, I just reread Daria's notes, and if you see something that's not exactly 0.1 hit your wallet, this is not a bug or something wrong with your farm. It's the new issuance function being tested out. Yeah, and just remember that this is the TSSC is not how you are being rewarded for the incentivized testnet.
Okay, so it looks like the transaction was confirmed. I'll wait for a few blocks to be produced on top so we are sure there are no forks, and I'll submit a link in the chat.
Thanks, Nazar. Always exciting to have a live transaction on our testnet on the call, of course. Okay. So while we wait for Nazar to pop confirmation in the chat, I guess we can move on to the next set piece. Yeah, so ETH Denver. I just want to talk a little bit about ETH Denver. You can see me looking rather silly there at the in the photo booth that they had, which was very cool. Yeah, so ETH Denver 2024, great experience. Why did we go? So we wanted to connect. We were eager to meet fellow enthusiasts, share ideas, and forge connections. We wanted to learn. Because, as usual, the event was a treasure trove of knowledge with insights from some of the brightest minds in blockchain, and we really couldn't wait to soak it all in. And also to share, of course. It was a great chance to showcase the strides Subspace has made and the vision that propels us forward. We were there to tell our story and evangelize Subspace. And it was myself, Jim, Jeremy, our CTO, Chris, who's our chief of staff, but is very much connected to all things AI and blockchain. A great kind of all-round font of knowledge. Certainly for me, I love picking Chris's brains. And Ikram, who's our CMO, our chief marketing officer. Thanks, Neo. I'm glad you're enjoying the beard there. Oh, and thanks, Emil. You've kicked it off again, I see. So yeah, it was a really great experience. Can we move on to the next slide, please, Emil?
Yeah, of course. I just really wanted to play the video once again.
Thank you. Okay, so who did we connect with? I just pulled out some pictures there. I'm not sure how well you can see them. You may have to go full screen. But working from left to right, that is myself with Joe from Immunify, who we were talking about with regarding a bug bounty program. We've been speaking with Joe for a while now. And as we approach mainnet, obviously, the conversation's hotting up. Alchemy have their logo because I didn't get a picture. The meeting was quite fast-paced, and we both, Subspace and Alchemy, had a meeting to shoot off to afterwards, so I didn't get a picture. But in case you don't know, Alchemy provide Subspace with subgraphs, and basically they provide Web3 infrastructure tooling for us. So if you wanted to work on a project hosted on one of our domains, for example, it could be that you'd be using an Alchemy subgraph. But it was a great conversation with them. We expect to be co-marketing with those guys at some point soon. Square in the middle of the slide there, that is the Protofire team. They sent out a lovely tweet with this picture. They are all about deploying infrastructure, Web3 infrastructure projects. They've got some great ideas around development and just all round experience in Web3. Great, and they're nice chaps as well. Really nice to meet those guys, as everyone was, of course. Then the odd-looking jellyfish in the background, that is myself and Jeremy with the StoreSwift chaps. So StoreSwift are a company that approached us kind of out of the blue just before we left for ETH Denver. We are very big in another storage project, Filecoin. They provide a lot of storage to the network, them and their customers. They design solutions. They're excited to get involved in Subspace. So we have we're in each other's DMs as we approach mainnet. Finally, at the top there on the right, that is myself, Jeremy, and Noah from TokenSoft. As you know, we're working with TokenSoft on various aspects of our plans for the token launch. And yeah, he's got some great marketing opportunities for us, which we're going to be taking advantage of soon. Yeah, and just everyone we met was just great, really lovely people. Slide, please, Emil. Okay, so we went to learn as well. So hot topic, of course, at ETH Denver was all things AI. So you can see if I go left to right again on the bottom there, there was a panel of very insightful guys talking about kind of the intersection between Web3 and AI, more sort of generalized. Some guys are in it, some guys are, they are ideating on use cases. It's very interesting. That is Doug in middle there, the deep in one. He is the head honcho at LivePeer. So they are set up for things like video transcoding. So they're able to, they have a token and they're able to incentivize you renting out your GPUs. I know we've got some guys in the audience who do something similar. So yeah, Doug was talking about how decentralized infrastructure, specifically around GPUs, is a way that you can harness the grunt you need to run inference on these and training on the AI models that we're seeing coming through. On the top in the middle, that was an interesting talk about how AI is a rising tide that lifts all boats, including scammers and bad actors. So there's a requirement, there's a way we need to be able to track people. And the lady suggested that a long-term identifier, something that's talked about a lot, ID, a persistent Web3 ID is a way to combat that. And we wholeheartedly agree with that. I'm going to go to the Filecoin one at the back because I want to finish with Near. So Filecoin talked about ways that, obviously a storage network can be used to store the training data for AI models. And, you can annotate and label that data, which is an interesting use case, something that we're obviously thinking about as well. And then finally, chronologically, it was the last one as well. The chap Ilya from Near talked about digital self-sovereignty in the age of AI. So this is about owning your own identity rather than what we have at the moment, where maybe you Google own your identity because you have everything linked to your Gmail account. Maybe you're using OAuth, maybe you're using OIDC to attach credentials, and you log in everywhere using Google or Facebook or Microsoft. All these guys. Maybe there's another way, and Ilya was very eloquent in painting a future Again, it's something that we are going to be talking more on ourselves, Subspace, very soon. Next slide, please, Emil. Okay, so share. Okay, so I talked to lots and lots of people about Subspace, and everyone was really interested in our novel consensus, how many farmers we've got, how much space we've got pledged. But I didn't get many pictures. It was just the way the conversations went down. I did want to share with you. I'll twist things round. Is that I watched some very good hackathon entries on the last day. A couple that really stand out. If you get a chance, check out the BFit guys. They're the top left there. The energy that the lads who produced BFit was astounding. Something, it was a spectacle. And Bubble Wars, the bottom left there. So it was just one of those demos where it was all going wrong, but then it started to go right, and the guy presenting just fed off that energy. Excellent presentation, fun, I would say. And then finally, I managed to nab a picture there with John Palla, who's the guy who organises East Denver. Thoroughly nice bloke. Took the time to have a little chat with me. So East Denver. Hopefully, we're going to be back for 2025. And I think, Emil, are we going to segue? If anyone's got any questions about East Denver, I'll be happy to answer what I can. Okay. Great
Some really
question,
cool
Init.
pictures, Jim. Thank you very much for sharing your journey with us. Yeah, it's always exciting to listen to it.
No problem. I enjoyed it very much. Should we take some Q&A?
Yeah, of course. Let's switch to a Q&A. I was just too focused on screen sharing that I forgot to mark the questions in the chat. Let me just scroll up to the beginning of the call. While I'm scrolling, there is a question from Udik. Where to get that subspace cap?
I'm so glad you asked, Initik, as I frantically find the link. Bear with me. Okay, I'm going to have to find it in our Notion. So I've gone up to the top as well. I look for that. Neo, the first question, I think. Are we steadying course towards a Q2 mainnet launch? Yes, Neo, we are. So the idea is that we are going to launch by June the 30th, no later. Thanks for the question. We've answered your question about decay rate on 3H. Okay, so
that what's exciting for Jim is stressful for Nazar, as a reference to the live network update.
Absolutely. I'm actually going to take that down so that we can add that to the forum post about dynamic issuance as well. Thanks, Nazar, for providing the upgrade block. Okay, Emil, do you know where the Shopify link is? I know there's a class somewhere for it. I was going to take Inutik's question. So Inutik asks about subspace strategy. What is the main subspace advantage compared to other blockchains to use for personal AI companions? Yeah, so that's a great question, Inutik. Something we're going to mention at the end is that at the moment we are kind of heads down working on a bunch of resources to really explain what are use cases, at which point I think it's going to become clear how Subspace is the most appropriate chain to host those applications, if you like, if you will. I kind of have to be a little bit careful about what I say because I don't want to spoil the surprise, because we want to have suitable hoopla and fanfare when we unveil it all. But Initik, as an apprentice ambassador and hopefully an ambassador soon, you will be one of the first to know. So yeah, watch this space. But of course, if I want to talk about what's special about Subspace, obviously it's our novel consensus, eco-friendly, that just baked in from the start. We've got scalability, decentralization, low barrier to entry, all that great stuff is what enables Subspace to host the AI toolkit that we've been hinting at, which we're going to be explaining very soon. And Neo, will there be a marketing campaign to sort of hype up the mainnet launch? I would go out on a limb and say it won't be sort of hyping up the mainnet launch, Neo. It will absolutely be. Yes, there is a marketing campaign. As I mentioned, Ikram was with us at ETH Denver. We have a marketing team within Subspace who are right now putting the final touches on the plan. But we're kind of, as I said, we're kind of waiting until we've got all of our ducks in a row. We're going to pull the trigger on a number of exciting things. But yeah, you are going to experience a launch, hopefully like you've never seen before, in a good way, of course. So yeah, hold on to your hat, Neo. Okay. All right. Okay. So Inutik's question was next. Where to get that subspace cap? Yes, there's a Shopify. You can log in and buy them yourself. Let us know how it goes. And Ryan is kind of been spearheading the Shopify campaign. So if you do encounter any rough edges or any problems, please do reach out to any of us actually, and we'll make sure you get through to the right person. But yeah, maybe send us a picture of you wearing your subspace cap in exotic background. We'd be very happy to repost or retweet, I should say. Okay.
Yeah, I still trying to find the link to the Shopify store. It seems like maybe they haven't indexed our store just yet because I couldn't find it.
Ryan's popped it in. I thought it was you. Ryan's popped it in the chat there.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Okay, so this was asked, and I see Daria's answered. So Neo asks, when will the audit for Subspace code base be done? It's an ongoing audit, which is something that was agreed with SR Labs last year. So yeah, watch this space, Neo. It kind of doesn't have an end date because it's ongoing. Will cross-domain messaging be part of mainnet launch or later? Daria, have you answered this one as well? Yes, next couple of weeks. Okay, the XDM is something that we've been talking about for a while. It is a feature of 3H. I don't think it wasn't quite ready at launch, but as you know, we were able to deploy runtime upgrades.
Sorry, can I just add to it, Jim?
Mm-hmm.
The cross-domain messaging was briefly discussed on the latest DevSync, which is available on our YouTube account, and I just thought it was a good chance to promote the video because developer sync is the best way to stay up to date with all of the developments for the network. I'm just gonna drop the link in the chat very quickly.
That's a great point, actually. Is that the DevSync is a great place for farmers to get alpha. It's literally where our devs, our core contributors, are talking about what's going, how things are going, what they've been working on, and what they're planning to work on. So if you want to know exactly what's going on with the protocol, yeah, DevSync, and they are. I don't want to say mercifully short because we tend to run longer calls in ecosystem, but I will say that Jeremy runs a tight ship. Jeremy, our CTO, and they rarely go over 20 minutes. So they're kind of packed with information, and I think everyone in the audience would find it super relevant. I can't recommend them enough. They're on are we at Subspace Network? I think is our channel on YouTube.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Star-Lord, will there be pre-allocation to farmers or opportunity to buy SSC? So we haven't released details about that yet, Star-Lord. If you are, so a pre-allocation to farmers, if you are involved, I'm not sure how long you've been in the project to see, but yeah, if you are farming at the moment, you'll be farming on the incentivized testnet, which means that your rewards will be converted into your testnet rewards will be converted into mainnet rewards. I'm going to drop this again into the chat because this would be further reading that should hopefully explain how that works to you. Thanks for the question, Star-Lord. Okay, XR, can you provide any update or timeline for the GPU plotter? Maybe I should have had that as a hot topic, actually. I am afraid not. Obviously, we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, and it's not something that's entirely in our control when it will be delivered. As soon as we can give you some information, Vexar, you're in all the right places. I see you, and again, you know, I thank everyone in the community, but Vexar, I see that you're particularly active with helping people. You will be, excuse me, you will be one of the first people to know once we've got some solid um, information. And I see Weasels found that ask interesting, funny. Okay, brilliant. Okay, yeah, 10 TSSC if we get a different answer. I'm sorry, unpredictable. It will be big news, Weasel Vexar. Okay, yeah, Capybara's digging the cap and the short sleeve tee. When hoodie, Ryan, sounds like you've got some like excellent market research coming straight back there. Are there any partnerships planned with other projects? Bing Bang asks. Yes, there are. Bing Bang. As I said, we are kind of working in the background on a like a orchestrated launch. Okay, all will become clear in the next few weeks. But yes, is what I can say at the moment, and I appreciate that. Really, that's a leading question, but unfortunately, I can't give you more detail at the moment. I apologise. And You Need Me doesn't want GPU. He's gone long on CPU, I'm guessing. So, as have many. I feel there's definitely mixed feelings about GPU plotting amongst the audience. Okay.
All
I
right.
think we've got all the
Is there any
questions.
other questions? Yeah, I think that's it for the moment.
Won't be long, Weasel. We'll have some big news, and you know that there'll be plenty of pomp from me when it's time. Don't you worry about that.
All right. I don't see any other people typing, so that's probably it for the questions. Just at the very end of the Farmer Office Hours, I want to briefly mention and go over a few important notes. First is that, as Jim mentioned throughout the call, ecosystem team is currently working hands down on something very, very exciting that we cannot share with you yet, but we gonna share with you very, very soon, and we're really excited about it. So be on the lookout for the updates, and we're gonna drop the bomb very, very soon. As you all know, our documentation contests, contribution contests, and translation contests are still ongoing. So if you are empowered and feeling ready to make some contributions for the translation, our documentation, or to writing any other guides for the documentation, or maybe you feel empowered to contribute to Space Acres, and if you are experienced with Rust, we have some great USDC rewards on the bounty board. So if you're interested, there is a lot of ways to participate in the development of the network. And last but not the least, The March is still our Hacker Month, so next week we're gonna have another special edition of Developer Office Hours, which is gonna be a workshop led by Nazar on Spaceacres contributions. We already had two workshops this month, which are available on our YouTube account. So if you're curious to learn more on how do you set up a development environment on Linux and on Windows, please make sure to head to our YouTube account and watch the videos, and join us live on the YouTube stream next week to have an opportunity to ask any questions directly to Nazar live. And as usual, thank you so much for joining us for the Farmers Office Hours. It was really exciting to chatting with you and seeing all of you in the audience. Thanks a lot for your questions, and see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.